Good evening. Special guest Bindu Sastry, Professor Ramesh Loganathan, past chains, my dear flow members and viewers. Namaste. When I started my company 25 years ago, there was no concept of organized mentorship. I and all other entrepreneurs like me had to fall back on what we had learned in college, any work experience that we had gathered by then, and personal advice from our well-wishers. And I have no hesitation in accepting that any degree of success one achieved during those times was through trial and error and sheer persistence. But today, the scenario is very different. Mentorship is an organized service available on tap for entrepreneurs at every stage of their life cycle. Research and surveys prove that while growth matters, over 70% of startups fail because of premature scaling. Mentored startups grow 3.5 times faster and raise 7 times more money. 80% of successful CEOs said that they had relied on some form of mentorship. In another research by says, 93% of startups admit that mentorship is instrumental to success. Starting last year, our incubation and mentorship efforts have been put on active mode, thanks largely to the vision of our immediate past chairperson, Ms. Sona Chetwani. RTAE, MOUs with VHub and CIE at IIIT Hyderabad have brought out members up close with the role of mentors, the art of pitching, and much more. We are continuing the good work and are taking it a notch ahead today. It brings me great pleasure to announce the launch of Flow Mentorship Cell, FMC, at Hyderabad chapter today. My dear friend and fellow Flow member, Bindu Sastry is here with us to do the honors and appraise us with the mission, objectives, and services of this specialized cell. To put it in a nutshell, FMC is by Flow, for Flow, and will cater to both mentors and mentees. This is another momentous step at both national and chapter levels that will help us live empowered. It is also a way of keeping the one mission flow flying high with cross-chapter knowledge collaborations. Also with us today, Mr. Ramesh Loganathan, Professor and Head of Research Innovation Outreach at IIIT Hyderabad, who will give us insights on how mentorship is the greatest secret weapon for entrepreneurs today. Flow governing body member Bindu Sastry serves as the national head of Flow mentoring cell apart from being an EC member of Bangalore chapter. She is the founder and managing director of Maverick, a venture catalyst firm that brings unconventional creativity and thinking into organizations, business verticals, and even point-in-time programs through practical executable strategies. She is also the founder and creative director of Sparkle Berries, a handmade jewelry line that productizes nature's elements through its eco-jewelry. She co-founded Bilwa Foundation, a philanthropic trust striving to promote and uphold human society through women empowerment, new age education, art, music, and literature. Bindu has spent 15 years in the IT industry across product and service companies and led diverse global cross-functional teams across multiple product lines. She has extensive skills spanning deal pursuits, proposals, initiatives, and technical innovation. I would now like to invite Bindu Sastry to launch FMC Hyderabad. Over to you, Bindu.
Thank you, Usha Garu.
Thank you.
Namaste, Flow Hyderabad. మీ అందరికీ నా నమస్కారాలు శుభాకాంక్షలు. I'm very happy to be part of the launch of the Flow Mentoring Cell in Hyderabad chapter. And thanks to Usha Garu and Nanda Garu, we've been in talks for a long time now on how to go about and, the synergies that I have seen, and especially, over last year and this year, I was just, Sona messaged me wishing the best for FMC here in Hyderabad. So, the continuity that I see, the energies that I see is simply awesome. So, kudos to all of you. I think you have a fabulous set of leaders and team members, and it's amazing to be here. And just to give a little bit of background on before I start off, I think Priya is here. Priya Gautam. So Priya Gautam is a national core team member of FMC, the Flow Mentoring Cell, and she is the go-to person for Hyderabad chapter. She is from the National Mentoring Cell core team group, and and anything that is required, you can always reach out to her. So I just wanted to introduce her before I start off. So hi Priya. So you see Priya on the screen now. So
Hi.
that's Priya for you. Any questions and all that, post this launch, you can always approach Priya.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy to say I'm also from Hyderabad. So
so a lot of common factors over here. Good to know. So yeah, so let me start off by telling you a little bit of background about the mentoring initiatives within Flow. So Flow is not new to mentoring at all, right? So mentoring has been one of the focus areas over the past so many decades. As Usha was saying, earlier it wasn't there, long ago. But then, gradually when, the chambers of commerce realized the importance of entrepreneurship and, the focus on them, Flow was not behind at all. And, in pockets, there have always been mentoring initiatives. But this year, under the able leadership of Mrs. Janabi Fukan, who is the president of, national president of Flow, so we have tried to consolidate and then consolidate and build upon the learnings that we have had in the past with respect to mentoring. And at the same time, we know that the landscape has changed for entrepreneurs, whether women entrepreneurs or in general anybody. And the startup landscape has changed, the ecosystems have changed. So we need to evolve too, right? So, on the back of solid learnings, what to do, what not to do, within all the Flow chapters, and after a lot of brainstorming with each of the chapter persons, I've had discussions with Usha also about this, so the plan was evolved as to how we approach this and what we bring to our membership, right, across Pan India. So I think, if you can share the slide deck, we can start going through the details. Thank you. Yeah, I hope this is visible to everyone. So the vision is very simple, right? So Flow has 17 chapters. And what we want to do is through the Flow Mentoring Cell, the vision that I have is a self-reliant entrepreneurial ecosystem for Flow members by Flow members. So what we realized is, over the years, Flow can boast about many women leaders who, as its members, and they, they being the senior leaders and subject matter experts, they have come to us saying, we want to volunteer and help fellow women entrepreneurs who are coming up, who are just starting up, who are maybe in ideation phase, and then they want to impart their expertise and then help a fellow Flow member. And this is the right platform. And through this vision, we've come to a set of objectives at the chapter level and at the national level, right? So as I said, the mentors and mentees, this is all voluntary. There is no mandatory rule or anything that you have to become a mentor. So many people have to become mentors in a chapter. No, nothing like that. So it is all voluntary because you want to give back. You want to give back to your fellow women entrepreneurs. You want to help and then help the nation grow. So under the chapter programs, the first objective is why we are all here, to create a Flow mentoring cell, in every chapter, right? So that is why we are here. We want to launch the FMC in Hyderabad, and the focus of every FMC, every Flow mentoring cell in the chapter would be one-on-one mentorship, right? So now, because we are all on the virtual platform, there are so many webinars we attend. There are so many experts giving, they're sharing their knowledge, giving yarn, but that's more of a broadcast, right? It is like a training session. But then what we want to focus upon is one-on-one mentorship, where a mentor is associated with a mentee. We call the person getting this the benefit of the program as a mentee. So the mentor and the mentee, that is a one-on-one program. So the duration is around 3 months to 6 months, where the mentee's business will be looked at by the mentor, who's an expert in her own domain, what stage of the business the mentee's business is in, and what does she need? Is she on the right path? So the guidance will be given, right? So, and then that is the whole idea about the one-on-one mentorship. At the same time, there will be workshops because, Flow is very famous for conducting workshops and events which will enable business women, which will enable entrepreneurs. So we want to continue that even under the Flow mentoring cell. But the only caveat over here is that it has to, the topics of the workshop will have to foster and enable entrepreneurship, right? So we want to draw a line between what is training or skilling and what is a workshop for entrepreneurship. So we don't want to train our mentees. What we want to do is we want to handhold them and then help them take the right decision and give directional inputs. That is what a mentor will do. So to aid this, in case there are workshops which are related, maybe a legal workshop, maybe a digital marketing workshop, those come under the FMC umbrella. Okay, so that is very simple. These are the only objectives we have, because right now we are in August, and by the time we set this up, we'll be into the next month already, and we have a runway of around 6 months, right, for this year. So that is the timeline we are looking at, and then so that we achieve these objectives. And at the national level, how we would like to enable is one, in this COVID times. We are all on an online platform, right? Earlier it was difficult. Every Flow chapter would be doing its own work. Sometimes we would get to know, sometimes we wouldn't. But now I think one of the major positive side effects of the COVID situation is that we are all together as one Flow. As Janabi puts it, #OneFlow is her tagline. And I think that is what we are, because we all know what is happening in other chapters. So let us utilize this virtual platform. And this is one of the main objectives of the national program of FMC, that we'll give a pan-India mentors base. So what is meant by pan-India mentors base? Let me say, Hyderabad boasts of a lot of industry experts who will, sign up as mentors. And let me say, under the chapter, they have mentees, and then, we can map the Hyderabad mentors to the mentees and vice versa, right? So it is open to everybody. So there's a mentee with a specific need, and there is a suitable match in another chapter. We are going to enable that, and then the mentoring, the mapping will happen that way. So that is a pan-India mentors base that we are looking at. And the other part is, in all this, mentees definitely get benefited because they will see clear results for their business. But at the same time, the mentors who are putting in so much of effort, their time, their mind space, and, they're imparting their expertise. So what do we do for them? Right. So I am in touch with a lot of organizations, and we are signing MOUs even as we speak to get some formal training and certification for mentors. So what will this encourage is not only the full-fledged mentors who have experience in mentoring, but also people who want to mentor, who want to enter this space. We will enable them by formal training and certification so that they can hone their skills and become mentors. Right? That is something that we are going to enable at the national level. And in addition to this, of course, we will collaborate, and we are collaborating with premier organizations globally, nationally. In fact, last month when Janabi launched the national FMC, there was UN Women which came in. So just today morning, I had the discussion with UN Women representative to see what is the value they will bring in to our initiative and to our members. So that is the level at which, we are trying to collaborate and, match the synergies and then get the best out of it. So next slide, please. So this is the whole team. As I said, one Flow. We are not differentiating or anything. It is just one mentoring team. It's a huge team. And you can see all the representatives of every chapter over here. And only for the sake of, convenience, we have grouped them into 3. And as you see, Hyderabad is in the first group, and Priya Gautam is the representative from the national core team for this group. And she'll be the single point of contact for setting up the FMC and also any questions that you have with respect to mentoring. So she's the go-to person. So that's the reason why I introduced her to you right at the beginning. So next slide, please. So this is about why. Why is it that we require mentoring? And when you talk to members, and I know that many are watching this even live on FB, so what does it mean to you, right? So we are looking to support aspiring existing women entrepreneurs, so that this is the whole essence of empowering women, right? So the mentorship cell will be a facilitation platform connecting women entrepreneurs to experts who can guide, mentor, assist them in taking the businesses to the next level. And what we want to do, we are very clear this year, is this is open to flow women only. So we have received questions, can we open it up to outside people? But then we are very clear, let us first enable our members, and then of course we have an outbound program which I'll talk about in a little bit. So if you're a woman and so irrespective of what stage your business is in, if you have an idea, you want to bounce it off some experts, you're looking to start, you want to grow, you want to scale your business, you want to expand into newer markets, or you need guidance, all you have to do is you have to register with us, and we'll see how best we can connect you to the right mentor, right? So as I said, there are only two things that we are looking at: one-on-one mentorship, which is inbound, which is totally by Flow members, for Flow members, and outbound programs. When I say outbound programs, of course, Flow being the organization which looks at women empowerment in general, we've had a long history of having programs for non-Flow women, say, a girls' college, a women's college, or another women's organization, maybe grassroots level women. So there, if you want to foster entrepreneurship, that will be falling under the outbound program, right? That is Flow for outside women. Okay, but that is not one-on-one. So that will be more of, you are reaching more number of needy women who want to start off as an entrepreneur, or who want to start their own business, whatever that is. Okay, however we can help out. So that is the outbound program. So next slide, please. So this is as simple as it gets. These are the only stakeholders that are involved. So, already Hyderabad has this FMC head and FMC core team. And you have the Flow mentors. So if you want to sign up as a mentor, please fill the form, and we'll welcome you on board. And we have Flow mentees, the beneficiaries of the program. You want to get guidance from the mentors, you can sign up. And then, as I said, the inbound and outbound programs. And as needed, we will pull in external mentors. So external mentors are not Flow members, so they are industry experts again. But what they will come in is, if you have a specific need, let me say, something related to intellectual property discussion, maybe we will pull in an external person with whom we would have signed a contract, and then they will help you out, maybe over an hour or so for a specific requirement. That's about it. So these are the only stakeholders that are there. And yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so these are all indicative areas. So when we say mentoring, what are the areas we're trying to cover? So it might be finance, and every chapter is different, and to whoever I talk to, I say, the flavor of the membership base, the market in that particular city or state, the schemes that are in that state, every chapter is different, every state is different. So these are all just indicative areas, based on, what is the kind of domains that your members are into. You would want to look at mentors in these areas: finance, marketing, legal, HR, IP, patents, and then the domains may be fashion, jewelry, IT, food and beverage, can be anything, right? So yeah, so the next one. And yes, so there is a one-time token registration fee of 1,500 for mentees. So why are we looking at this nominal amount of registration is just to ensure that the mentee is serious about it, mentee knows what she is getting into, and then because the mentors spend a lot of time with the set of mentees, and we don't want someone who just wants to pass their time to sign up, and then it is not a win-win for anybody. So that way we want to deter people who are just curious. Okay, we want serious mentees who really want to make a difference in their business. And then as per the prerequisites and fitment, the mentee and the mentor might feel that they're ready for incubation and maybe some further angel funding round and all that. At that time, yes, we will link to the incubation cell, which is also one of the initiatives of Flow, and then you can take it forward on a case-to-case basis. Okay, so yeah, I think the mentors I covered. Next slide, please. Yeah, and how does it work? It is very simple. You have that link to the form. So I have shared this with Nanda and also Usha. So all you have to do is fill up the form, whether you want to become a mentor or a mentee. It is a self-navigable form. And if you select mentor, it will lead you to the mentor form. If you select mentee, it goes to the mentee form. And then we'll get the, get your application forms. They will be processed and you'll be mapped to a, suitable mentor. And then the mentoring program will start. It is as simple as that. So next slide, please. Yeah, and as part of the national programs which I was just mentioning, so I said, we are looking at formal training and certification for mentors. So this is led by, Mala Chandra of Chennai. So we are collaborating with an organization called BYST, and it is a mentor development program. And, at the end of it, there will be a certificate that will be issued by BYST. And the other one is, we are collaborating with an organization called Speakin on Investing 101, because we found that, there are a lot of members who are interested in knowing the nuances of investing, whether it is angel funding or, any type of investments. So we have curated a 6-part webinar only for Flow. And, the leading industry experts would address us. And then this would be a 6-part series, and that will be launched. So we're just waiting for all the mentors and the mentees to come on board. The moment we have our ecosystem in place, all this will be initiated. And there'll be programming on, program on funding and investment. So okay, so the Investing 101 is being led by Aarti Gupta, who's the chairperson of Kanpur. And the last one that I have listed there is with Mumbai Angels. The talks are in progress. And the chairperson of Mumbai, who's Malu Natarajan, so she'll be leading that initiative. So as you see, this is all pan-India. We want to bring the best of the best to our members. And then, I'm sure that, in your own capacities, if you have some connects, please reach out to your FMC members, please reach out to Ushaji, and then, we'll take it from there. So that, all the members get benefited. So that is the whole idea. So next slide, please. Yeah, so I think that covers pretty much what I wanted to, convey to the Flow Hyderabad members today. I'm very happy that we are launching the FMC in your chapter, and here's wishing you all the very best. And I know that under the able leadership of Ushaji, this is going to, rock. So all the best, and thank you for having me, and also Priya. So over to you, Shagaru. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu, for that elaborate presentation about FMC. I would now like to introduce the team that would be taking up the responsibility of FMC Hyderabad. Team lead, Nanda Rao Maganti. I want spotlight, yeah. With senior vice chairperson Uma Chigurupati. And Pooja Mitra as members. Nanda Rao will now briefly take you through the proposed activities at FMC Hyderabad. Please take Nanda.
Good evening, everyone. Namaste. I would first want to thank Bindu Shastri, who, in spite of her very busy schedule, has taken time out and agreed to launch FMC Hyderabad. Thank you so much, Bindu. I would also like to thank our chairperson, Usha Manne, for having the confidence in me and giving me the opportunity to lead FMC Hyderabad. Thank you, Usha. I would also like to thank Priya Gautam, who has extended a lot of support to our chapter. Thank you, Priya. Mrs. Bindu Shastri, who heads the National Mentoring Cell, has very lucidly explained to us about the necessity of mentoring. It would be my pleasure to tell you how we plan to take this initiative forward. We have lined up for the members of Hyderabad several interesting and informative talks on varied subjects relating to business. These will be business talks, and today is our first business talk on mentoring itself. The other business talks will cover varied aspects such as marketing, branding, sales, legal, statutory compliances, cybersecurity, SME finance, to name a few. There will be also several workshops which will be very useful to all the members. Now, how does one gain access to the mentoring cell? Simple, really very simple, just 3 easy steps. We will be sending the application form to all the members. It is for you to fill it in as a mentor or as a mentee. We will then select and guide you to the appropriate mentor. And next, we will also facilitate the meetings between you and the mentor. It's as easy as that. The benefits for the mentors are that we have a formal training for the mentors, which leads to a certification. The advantages will be of networking, upping your skills, international accreditation, and of course, the utmost satisfaction of mentoring itself. Now, for the mentees, I would like to reiterate that it is not just only for startups, but also for existing women entrepreneurs who want to expand their business or those who are facing a sudden hurdle in their business. And especially now, because of the change scenario, many might want to go online with regard to their business. So, how does one proceed further? With regard to formulating business plans, licenses, permissions, setting up process, digital footprints, how does one go ahead? It is here that we come into the picture. We will bridge this gap with a mentor who has expertise in that domain and will guide you. And most important, the mentorship cell will also continue to have meetings with you to know your progress. So there will be a lot of focused hand-holding from us. The mentorship will be for about 3 to 6 months and it will be need-based. And the icing on the cake is that once you are ready to take the next step, we will ensure the smooth transition to the incubation cell, which is being led very ably by Sarita Chilkapati, where your business ideas will fructify and take concrete steps to become a flowing business. So, members, what are you waiting for? Please come forward to help us, to help you. Make the most of this initiative, which is by Flow members, for the Flow members. Any queries you have, please feel free to contact me. My number is mentioned in the Creative for Mentorship. And our core team, comprising Senior Vice Chair Uma Tigurupati and Pooja Mitra and myself, are here to help you to navigate and mitigate any issues you have, either with regard to your new business ideas or even in your running businesses. Thank you all, and looking forward to a lot of active participation from the members. We will be having a question and answer session, so please type in your questions into the chat box. Thank you very much. Over to Chairperson Usha Manne.
Thank you, Nanda. In keeping with our mission of empowerment, we are glad to bring to you Biz Talks, a series of conversation with accomplished business and process leaders. Starting with the first one today, Biz Talks will come to you every first Wednesday of the month. Coming to our guest speaker today is no stranger to the startup and incubation ecosystem of Hyderabad. Flow's partnership with IIIT Hyderabad is largely due to his forward-looking vision of empowering female business leaders with business skills. After acquiring his master's in engineering from Guindy, he worked in US Bay Area and Singapore and returned to Hyderabad 20 years ago to join a startup, Premati. His teaching stint at IIIT started in 2002. In 2006, he co-founded Head Start Network, an NGO actively engaged in the startup space. He established the IIIT Hyderabad Incubator in 2008, and today it is India's largest academic incubator. Ramesh moved full-time into academics in 2016, even as he continues to lead all research, outreach, and innovation activities at the institution. He served as the State Chief Innovation Officer in 2017. May I now invite you, Mr. Loganathan, to let us in on your thoughts about mentorship and incubation.
Thank you. Thank you, Usha Garu. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible, but I think a little bit of
Yeah, I've been having some
Yes.
microphone issues, so I'll just keep it closer. So, Usha Garu, thank you for having me here. Like you said, we've been having conversations with FLO for some time now, and IIIT does have, like any engineering institution, we have a skew that doesn't. I mean, that is much lesser number of girl students than male students in our campus, so we've been doing many things. We don't like it. We believe like, well, even if 50-50 is not the goal, at least 30% we should have. Because that's our own PG girl students, but UG is about 11-12%. So we've been doing many things, and also it's a very forward-looking campus. So we also believe in many things, and any cause of women is important to us. Just from a pure spirit of being, like they say, it should be gender neutral. So when we see that something is not, for whatever reasons, not enough girl students coming into engineering, not enough women entrepreneurs. I mean, like less than 10% of the startups, not even number of founders, less than 10% of the startups have one woman founder, at least one. And if you look at the total number of founders, probably the percentage is maybe 5%. Because like very rarely it's a startup having all women founders, maybe 2 or 3 founders and one is a woman or 2. So, and for no reason, I mean, the ecosystem is very, very inclusive. In the sense, like I always believe, like it should be purely gender neutral. Gender should not matter. And that's how the ecosystem is. There's no reason, but the facts on the ground is this. 10% of startups have at least one woman founder. Total number of founders, maybe 5% of women. And so when I was first approached by Flow, like late last year, I was very happy to help. We do other things as well. We work a little bit with VHub. But this was, I thought, a nice opportunity to do whatever we can to support. And so mentoring is something that we do as an incubator. We are a 12-year-old incubator now, one of the older incubators in the country, the IIIT incubator. It's called CIE, Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Over the years, we've had about 350 startups. Right now, we have about 100 startups that are in the incubator. We run 3 different accelerators. Accelerators are a more intense form of mentoring. With extensive scrutiny and selection. A very small number gets selected for each batch, but we run 3 different accelerators. And it is our incubator that is the reason many of you must have heard of T-Hub. We help state, we are one of the founding institutions for T-Hub, and we're also hosting it right now. So we have 2 incubators on our campus. We have our incubator and also T-Hub. T-Hub has another 150 startups. Now, I think one may ask, what is the difference between a new business and a startup? I think it's a very common, I mean, isn't every business, new business, a startup? At some level, yes. But the startup world, at least, it may be a little bit of more self-fulfilling definition. But the startup world at least believes any startup that is centered upon innovation and is serving a market that is not served very well today, which essentially means there's an opportunity to grow very fast. Such a business is a startup, generally. Though often a technology-based solution is assumed to be a startup. Well, that also is a startup, but the broader definition of startup, there may or may not be technology. CultFit is considered a startup, right? Yes, they do have an app and such, but they are a primarily brick and mortar business. They have gyms and they serve healthy food. Now, but the reason they're considered a startup is like they got into a space that is seemingly crowded, but with a very fresh business model. And a business model which allows them to grow non-linearly with time, right? Typically, if you say like a gym would double the number of locations every year, CultFit has been doubling every few weeks almost, or at least few months now. Maybe it's a little slowed down just before the lockdown. And so it's considered a startup. So any business that can grow, like with the definition we use, that can grow non-linearly with time, with money, and with people. Right? You put an X amount of investment that should result in like 2x or 4x growth. You kind of double the time. You did something in the first year. In the second year, you should have more than double the growth. And like same with people, you had some number of people. You're doubling the number of people. That should result again in like 4 times or 8 times the growth compared to what it was when the team was half. And that is typically a very common characteristics of any startup. And there's a promise. And the fact that it can grow so fast also means the risks are high. And that's one of the reasons why the many startups fail. Because when you get into such a proposition, there are a lot of assumptions, and the assumptions come undone when you finally get into the market. Some assumptions turn out to be true and some turn out to be false. And depending on how false it was, it can result in loss of time, maybe loss of opportunity, loss of money, loss of resources, could be anything. Sometimes you can recover from it, sometimes you cannot. But that's okay. That's the nature of the business. We celebrate failures in the startup world. Failed startup founders are welcomed. In many technology-intensive companies, innovation-minded companies, failed founders are always welcome. And welcome to take on roles because they're very creative thinkers. Their whole approach is very different, and so failed startups are celebrated. But that said, the fact that there are so many variables, like it's not like you're going and setting up yet another instance of an established business model. Right? If somebody's setting up a clothing store or a shoe store or even just a set of gyms, if they're doing it in a conventional model, they kind of know what to expect. This area does not have a gym, so if I start a gym, I'll get some business. It will be very similar to any other gym. Now, so the uncertainties are very, very small. But in a startup, generally the uncertainties are very, very high, and which is precisely why mentoring plays a very critical role. And also startups, like any new business, would generally have a very, very small team. It's the founders, generally, two or more, preferably two, not one. The general advice is like two or more founders. Startups with two or more founders are more likely to be successful than startup with a single founder. So anyway, so when they start, they're just a couple of founders. Sorry, I got muted somehow. Yeah, so I was saying so initially it's just the founding team, and they come with their experiences, but it is impossible for them to have all the experiences that a business would need. The founders may be both very, very, from a strong technology background. They may not understand business, they may not understand operations, or they may come from a business background, they may not understand technology, or they come from a strategy background, don't understand operations, and or they understand operation but don't understand finance. So it's impossible that they have everything they need. So it is very, very important for both reasons. One is the uncertainties that exist in such a business, or any business for that matter, but definitely in a startup business, and the fact that the founding team may not have all the required capabilities that is required, needed to run a successful business. For both the reasons, the best way to offset this is through mentoring. You meet, for the first reason, especially for the uncertainties, you talk to mentors. First thing, Mr.
Ramesh, it has gone mute. Could you unmute yourself, please?
I don't know. Somehow it's getting muted. I don't know who's muting. So I was saying, as a startup, anybody, when we are doing something for a long time, we lose the objectivity. So a startup is thinking about the business kind of day in, day out, week in, week out. After some time, they lose the objectivity and they can't look at the business objectively. And that's one of the first roles that a mentor would provide. Right? They can look at it very objectively. First thing, they're not emotionally invested in it. Second, they haven't done much with it or don't know anything about it. So when you explain your business to them, they are looking at it with a very, very fresh perspective, with clear perspective, no biases. They can be very, very objective. And that objective view is extremely important. And they would be able to find holes. They would be able to find assumptions that are missed. They may be able to find assumptions that are wrong. So that is the first thing that you get. The objective, a very, very objective view of your business is one that you would get from a mentor. And so the mentors have to be very observant, have to have a good sense of business themselves. Like when somebody is talking about a business idea, they should be, not that they know every domain. Most mentors, startup mentors come from a domain. Some maybe don't even come from a domain. What they have is they have listened to many startups. They have guided many startups. They have a sense of where startups can go wrong. Not that they are good at it. They might themselves be an extremely ineffective entrepreneur, but they're very good at spotting holes. And it's like a good mentor never gives answers. They should not give answers. It's very wrong if mentor gives answers. Good mentors should give questions. give the questions which the founders should go and find the answers. Find questions that the founders haven't thought of yet. And so it's always like, while they may have their own opinion on certain things, mentors are advised not to share opinions. Because they may be right, they may be wrong. It's easy to talk to somebody for 1 hour and then tell them, no, you have to do this, and then go away. There's no responsibility, right? It's just, so they're strongly advised not to give opinions, but give questions. Even if it's an opinion saying like, do this, it should be phrased saying like, just please consider, go and check if you think you should do this. And so which is the biggest thing the mentor does. So gives a very objective view, and in that view, kind of spots holes and assumptions in the strategy. And then that's the first level when you talk about mentoring. Like, just generally give a sense of if the business is okay, is the opportunity okay, are they going about it the right way? Does the need really exist? Are there things that they missed out? That's what happens in the first meeting. Now, when you go a step further, every aspect of a startup business can deserve its own kind of mentor intervention. So supposing we say, like, we start off, if you're talking about a business, you're starting with an assumption that somebody has a need. Right there, we might have made some assumptions where the need maybe doesn't actually exist. Like, often I come across early stage startups that say like, okay, what is your competition? Oh, nobody does it on a mobile app. Now, what they completely miss is like, that is completely incidental. If they have a problem, if somebody has a problem, like, say, for instance, you want to locate good deals in your neighborhood, and like somebody has built a solution for that. And when they say like, nobody has done it on an Apple iPhone, I'm the only one to have done it on Apple iPhone, that's an useless proposition. If somebody has done it in any other way, the proposition here is like, what are the different ways to find good deals in your neighborhood? If somebody has an approach where they put a flyer in a newspaper and they can get the customers, and that is working, and that is competition for you. Now, so starting from there, if you look at customers, trying to understand who has the need, and understanding the need, often we get caught up by paraphrasing our solution as the need. Our solution is only a solution, right? If you understand the need, our solution is one of the alternatives. You need to understand what are the alternatives. So before even going to the solution, even trying to validate, does the need really exist? Maybe it's okay, Flyers works well, there's no need for technology. If Flyers work well, why should you build an app? Now, so making sure that the need is understood, that there's a need, there's a gap, it is not served today, is something, just understanding the need. Then comes to like understanding like your solution. Does your solution really make a difference? Is it better than the alternatives today? Like, if you take the same solution of finding deals in your neighborhood, like, is your solution better than flyers that go in the newspapers? Is your solution better than WhatsApp groups that might have got created? Is your solution better than every alternative? Your solution should be better, and it should be clear why it is better. And the better cannot be saying, look, I have the best looking UI. Yes, UI is important, but that cannot be the differentiation. The differentiation is in terms of the value that your customers can derive from your solution. That's where the differentiation comes, and the most significant differentiation. Now, so again, mentors can be of very good help in trying to understand. You've understood your customer needs. You've understood how you can bring value to the customers. Now, understanding how do you get to the customers. Right? That's one of the most difficult things, especially the technology world. They come from a tech background. Their understanding of markets and go-to markets and like kind of the whole process, business development, is very, very weak. And often they say, look, if I have a good product, people come and buy. Yes, that's nice if it happens, but that's utopia. You have to go and like make sure people understand what you're offering so that they consider buying your product. Now, and that's the whole marketing and sales process. Now, that starts with understanding who are your customers. I mean, I often come across startups that say, look, every citizen is my customer. I mean, everybody in the age of 10, I mean, in the age of 20 to 40 is my customer. That's those are just attributes, right? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It's more reflective than strategical, right? In the sense that once you have customers, they're all likely to be in the age group of 20 to 40. Now, that doesn't mean anything from a strategy standpoint. So from a strategy standpoint, you need to understand who are all these groups that will see value in your product. So that could be like, it could be young professionals, that could be young professionals staying in a PG housing. It could be like newly married or like young couples with very young kids. Now, if you can identify for which, I mean, these different groups for whom your product, I mean, for whom the problem is more severe and for whom your solution matters more, because there may be different ways of solving the same problem. And the way you solve may mean more to a certain group. Understanding those groups is very important. And this is where, again, startups find it very difficult to have a circumspective view. So mentors bring in a lot of value in that aspect. Just helping understand, like, I mean, they, of course, always it starts with you telling what your understanding of that whole customer segmentation is and who are your target customers and why. And then they would shoot holes. Mentors would shoot holes. It could be from pivoting. Like right now, in the last 3-4 months, since COVID started, we have had multiple rounds of mentoring just focused on pivoting. And pivoting is a very common aspect in any business, right? Market conditions changes, competitive landscape changes, the operating environment might change, or things like pandemic, like we are going through now, might come in. Any number of things can come in, and suddenly you have to, what was working until then would stop working now. You have to change your strategy, and often doesn't mean like you stop doing what you're doing and do something entirely different. In most cases, by modifying something, you can tap into a new market. Now that's called pivoting, right? And so mentors bring in very, very good perspective in pivoting, and which is a continuous. Sometimes it's a major pivot, sometimes it's a minor pivot. But pivots always happen in business. So like a mentor can bring maybe identify the needs that just kind of give a heads up that winds are changing. Like, look, this is something that might come your way in the coming months. You should plan for it. Or it's already come, and then like you react to it. And the mentors might help. What's the best way to pivot? Help identify what's the best way to pivot, or at least help review your plan to pivot, and then help arrive at a strategy that will work. So, at some level, every facet of the business, right? Especially in the emerging stages. I mean, once you're established, it's different. Then it needs a different kind of mentoring. But in the initial months, initial years, first few years, mentoring is extremely important. Now, there are accelerators, startup accelerators, global accelerators. Every accelerator believes in mentoring, right? We bring a lot of mentors into the accelerator program, or even an incubator. We have mentors, but acceleration programs are more structured programs. If we tell them you have to meet a mentor every Friday, they have to meet every Friday. That's part of the whole program structure, and there's a commitment from the startup side. Now, some accelerators believe in something called mentor overload. Now, one common issue that the startups will have, or any entrepreneur will have, is that when you meet like multiple mentors, multiple advisors, you may get conflicting suggestions. Now, which is precisely why we tell mentors, look, you never give your suggestion as an opinion or as a directive. Never tell them you have to do this. If somebody tells a startup saying like, why don't you consider this market segment, because like, don't you think this is an assumption that works? You might actually succeed in that market. Somebody else might say like, look, don't you think this market segment won't work because of these reasons? That mentors will never say like, this will work or this will not work. They will always give reasons why they believe it may or may not work, and then you have to go investigate. Now, even if you get conflicting views, if you take it as a question, you investigate, you study, and then you kind of come up with information, and then you can make an informed choice. So, while sometimes the advice is like, don't go meet too many people, but at some level, it's probably okay, so long as you know how to handle the mentoring. Even if the mentor tells you, go do this, you should in your mind rephrase it as a question. Shouldn't you consider doing this? And so there are accelerators that believe in something called mentor overload. They put a startup with like sometimes 100 mentors that they meet in a span of 2-3 weeks. Now, can you imagine, like, if you think like 5-10 mentors can be confusing, 100 mentors that in a span of 2 or 3 weeks. At the beginning of the program, they say their approach is like, which they believe works. I mean, it's very hard to prove why something worked, but they believe this is one of the reasons. Their whole thing is that when you meet 100 mentors, you may get a lot of conflicting views, but there will be some views, some inputs that keep repeating. Like if you're supposing each mentor is giving you 10 inputs, between 100 mentors, you're getting 1,000 inputs. And of those 1,000, maybe there are 500 unique inputs that you get. But many of them would occur only once. But there'll be 10, 15 inputs that is occurring repeatedly, which will get completely reinforced in your mind. Because many people are seeing and saying like, shouldn't you do this? Shouldn't you do this? And which is in your mind, it says, okay, this is very important. I should seriously consider this. Now that is their belief. I mean, like when you hear the same thing. So again, this is the whole, at some level, the responsibility of successful mentoring is with the mentee as much as it is with the mentor. Probably more with the mentee, right? Because these are some things like, you should be able to understand what is important, what is not important when a feedback comes. Because for a mentor, they're just spending half an hour, 1 hour with you. They understood something in the first 10 minutes, and then they're responding to it. They're reacting to it. So sometimes they might not have understood. But sometimes they might have understood in a way different from yours. They may be right. So it is not it is not okay to discount it saying, look, they don't understand my business, so they're just blabbering. That's not okay. One extreme. The other extreme, like, look, they are so experienced, everything they say is right, I'm just going to blindly follow. That's also not okay. So the point is, take it, be very, very receptive, take every input that is coming, try to find more information. The mentee should find the answers. In that process, you will figure out what is important, what is not important. And mentee should make the decision. Once, it's always good, it's always advised that you go back to the mentor and say, look, you told me these things when we met last, and I did some kind of further work. And for these reasons, I don't believe like this, I would like to continue. These are good, but not right now. I will take it up later. But these two I want to do, and this is how I'm thinking I will do it. What do you think? Now, they will give some feedback. They may not agree with you sometimes, but that's okay. Right? But at least go back to them and then like give your reasons why you're doing something or not doing something, or doing something differently. And like at least if something is glaringly wrong, they will tell you, look, you know what, you missed a fundamental assumption. Because of this, I think this is not right what you're doing or what you're not doing. And sometimes they may just disagree, which is okay. You can always, because at the end of the day, it's a founder's passion, founder's business. And founder is much more invested in it emotionally and otherwise than anybody else. So I think you should go with your gut feel. So the whole idea of mentoring is that it's not that somebody will tell you how to do something right. The whole idea of mentoring is like somebody to look at your business and give you objective inputs on things that you may be missing. That's the most important purpose of mentoring. And in some cases, they supplement things that you don't know. Okay, I want some financial models and like cash flow planning and such. I go meet a senior CA or a CFO. They know that very well. So sometimes I may go to somebody because I want their knowledge. Most often you go to the mentors because you want them to kind of look over what you're doing and then find things that you might be missing, right? And they don't have to give you the answers. If they just spot those, that's enough. And that's the most important purpose of mentoring. So this just I'm just sharing perspectives from what we've been doing with startups. It will be applicable to many of the businesses and more so for startups. We'll be happy to take any questions from anybody. I'm sure in this group today there are mentors and mentees from what I understand, and we'll be happy to take some questions either now or later. Thank you so much for the chance, and I hope it helped at least get some perspective on mentoring.
Thank you so much, Mr. Loganathan. Appreciate you taking your time out. What you said that really stood up is mentors are here to help cultivate your ideas. And like you said, mentors don't give answers. They're here to ask questions and challenge the mentee. And even sometimes challenging the mentee's assumptions and questioning the business model, and hence pushing a mentee to grow their business to a greater heights. We will now begin with our question and answer session. Our first question is from the member Gunjan, and this is for Mr. Ramesh Loganathan. Is there what if a person, a mentee does not want to go in for the mentorship, wants to go for the mentorship program and not for the boot camp or the accelerator program? Is that okay?
I mean, it's okay. See, these are all at some level, an accelerator is a super mentoring, right? A boot camp typically has some amount of mentoring, but it is more of saying like, we insist, especially for early stage startups, we do a idea and opportunity validation boot camp for early stage startups. Okay. And what we say is like, before you meet a mentor, you should have some of the obvious things you should have covered. No point going and meeting a mentor when like some of the very, very obvious things also are not covered. So we insist that they should go through the boot. If they're very early stage startups, we insist they should go through our boot camp. We do a 2-day idea opportunity validation boot camp, which kind of discusses different facets of a startup business and how do you evaluate and some frameworks for it. And so that you fill up for your business, see like if you got everything or if you have some, you may spot some holes yourself. So we tell them to go back, take a few weeks, work on it, and then come back before you meet a mentor. So that's a boot camp. Now, boot camp is a knowledge thing. Now, so at some level, they're not exactly even comparable. Like one is mentoring and one is boot camp. Accelerator is like a super mentoring, right? It's more structured mentoring. And so these are very different things. So long as they're structured right and the entrepreneur or the mentee understands which is what, they can pick.
Okay. Are there any limits to the number of mentoring hours for the one-on-one mentorship?
Limits on the mentor side or for the startup from the mentee side?
For the mentor side.
Mentors, again, amount of time they have. Because all of them have their own businesses and they are doing something else.
Okay.
So there's something they're volunteering time. So generally, when we take time, we try not to take more than 2 hours
2 hours.
at a time. So that we maybe structure 2 or 3 slots. We set up 2 or 3 slots for them in that time. We stopped doing one-off mentoring. We used to do that earlier. We stopped doing that. Now we are doing theme-based mentoring. So every mentoring would be like maybe a series of 3 meetings or 4 meetings or sometimes 6 meetings. So where we work for a specific outcome. Like with a very early stage startup, where one of the mentoring programs we have is, we call them micro accelerators. One of the program is around winning your first customer. A startup that has probably got their product built and just getting into the market. So now at that stage, you need to look at your overall idea. What is the idea? You need to understand what problem you're going after. How are you going after? Look at it from a wholesome. In the first 1 or 2 meetings, you take just to understand what you're doing. And then the mentor will say like, okay, you know what? Well, these are all your potential markets. This is where you should focus on to get your first customer. For whatever reason, maybe the reason might be like you're in IIIT and IIIT has connections in these industries. You should go to those first. Or like you're in Hyderabad. Hyderabad pharma is very, very strong. And it's easier to find somebody who can connect you to pharma. So focus on pharma first. So they focus, it is strategy review still, it is mentoring. But we are saying like, while you're giving inputs at the overall strategy, but focus on that one single outcome we want, which is get them win their first customer. And not just get one customer, get them win the first customer against your strategy. Now, so there are themed mentoring, so which is series, maybe 3 meetings, 4 meetings. Right now we are doing, it's a big initiative, about 30 incubators are involved. So this one is called Rejig.Hide Startups. It's anchored by the State Innovation Cell, and we are actually driving it. T-Hub is involved, TIE is involved, and many other incubators. So there we are saying like, it is Rejig. Now, because of the whole pandemic, the whole business climate has changed. The strategy that they had before March may not be valid anymore. So this whole thing is Rejig. So now if you want to do a Rejig, you can't do it in one mentoring session. It may take one session just to understand what you're doing. So we set it up as a 3-session series. It's happening back to back. In less than 2 weeks, 3 sessions will be over. And first session, we're saying is understand the strategy and they put some pointers on what the changes could be. So the startup can think and come back for second session. Second session, discuss only what the changes should be, different options and pros and cons, and arrive at something that seems like the most viable. Third session, seal it with a plan. The startup will come back with a plan based on the discussion, and then that's what they're going to pitch. Where we at the end we said like you're pitching for funding or pitching for a corporate client in different domain. That's what we are arranging at the end of the 4th week. And so mentoring is also sometimes, the outcome should be clear.
Okay. There's one question we've got from Barkha Gupta. What is the minimum number of months or years a business must have completed to be able to get facts for validation related to early stage or idea validation?
So it really depends on the nature of business. Sometimes, like, even if they're going to use technology, sometimes you can validate the business even just on paper, sometimes just a model. And the model, while technology is going to help, I can use an Excel file and still deliver my business. Like supposing recently somebody came out saying like pandemic, even like a conventional business wants to book slots. Now, so they came up with a solution saying like, I can use a location-based app and like, it'll tell me any type of business I choose nearby, could be a salon, could be a grocery store, could be anything. It'll show who are around, and when the slots are, I can book a slot and go for at that slot. Now, if that is assuming this has value in the market, to begin with, you don't need an app at all. You can just do it on a phone, right? Somebody calls you, you use a simple, you can use sheets of paper or use Excel file, and you can manually do it, right? So to validate something like this, often you should not wait too long. Like they say, fail fast is a term that's used a lot these days. Or the other term that they might have, some of the startups will have heard is like lean startup methodology. And the whole idea is that you don't go too far without validation.
Right.
And validation, if sometimes this is good validation. You want to do this, such a thing works in a hyperlocal, in one neighborhood, go manually talk to all the businesses. Put a campaign out, maybe just on WhatsApp or social media. Look, if you're in Indiranagar area of Gachibowli, anything you want to book, these are the 6 types of businesses. You just call this number, we'll get you a slot for you, so you don't have to go and wait. Now, you can do it on the phone initially or just on WhatsApp. But eventually, you'll need a proper technology because you can't do this manually when you scale to the whole city. But if you say like, until I build the app, I'm not going to try, that is stupid. Because that may take 6 months, 12 months. By then, the opportunity is lost. Pandemic is gone. So it's important to be sensitive to the opportunity. Every opportunity has a shelf life. Now, and secondly, you don't want to go too far building something without any validation, because you might have made some wrong assumptions, which you will discover only 6 months later. If you go with something in 2 weeks, you might discover right away and you might change your path. So for all these reasons, very, very frequent customer interactions is important. And then do what is required for the customer to experience the value. If you understand what the customer's value, in this case, the value is not the technology or a fancy mobile app. The value is getting an appointment slot. So I don't go wait. If that is me, if that happens, I'm happy. I'll come back the second time. But that can be done even just on a phone. So the value should be understood. Technology is secondary.
Okay, thank you. Coming to Bindu now. Bindu, couple of questions for you, please. What happens if a mentee wants to extend or shorten their program? Is that a possibility?
We are flexible. We are flexible because again it depends on the need and the stage of the business. See, why we are setting a fixed duration of 3 months to 6 months is we've had programs running up to 2 years in the past. In Bangalore chapter. So that was an initiative called Swayam. Some of you may know about it. So there were a lot of lessons learned. That mentoring, do you want to be associated with this mentee for 2 years? Sometimes what happens, they come back in an unofficial capacity. They're still in touch with the mentor, because the rapport that is created is so strong that they want to come to the mentor and use her as a sounding board. So all that is fine. So we are very flexible that way, and that's why I said it can be any domain, it can be any stage of business. We will try to map you, and it's not that of course one-on-one mentorship is what it is, but then supposing you have a specific need and there is another mentor, let me say who is in digital marketing, let me say, and you want to just run by her with respect to what the strategy should be in terms of your digital marketing, maybe in the pandemic era or something, then that mentor will be brought in. Okay, though you're associated with the same mentor, be brought in. So it can be extended if you want. We'll take it on a case-to-case basis. If you think it is benefiting, that is all we want, right? So we'll do it.
And will this platform also give the mentee and mentor a platform to network, an opportunity to network? If yes, how do you think that will happen?
So let me answer it in 2 parts. So for the mentors, definitely, we want the whole idea of this Pan India mentor space is that, so that we learn together, we share our experiences, and also we'll have this network where, there'll be a lot of networking among mentors, right? Among mentees, I would take it with a pinch of salt, because some of the mentees have clearly expressed to us in the past that they don't want to, divulge that they are undergoing a mentorship program.
Okay.
Right? But then workshops, definitely, national level workshops, chapter level workshops, every chapter, whatever workshop they're doing or, any such event, they are going to put that up onto the National Mentoring Cell group. And there, you three are there, Ushaji is there. So, you can always take it back to the chapter and it's open to everybody. So there's nothing like, you cannot come in for some event. So, but on the mentee side alone, we don't want to have a network because some of the mentees don't want it. So.
Okay. So would there be, for the mentors, would there be an opportunity to, network with the other mentors?
Yes, of course. Yes,
okay.
enable that.
Okay. And can the mentees choose their mentors? Sorry? Can the mentees choose their mentors?
No. So that is the work of the FMC core group of the chapter. As I said, there are various orientations that are going to happen. The core team of FMC is going, they'll get a series of videos now very soon on how to do that mapping, because for some of the chapters it is very new, and for some chapters they've already done it. So we're going to go through that. And for mentors, we are having orientations, because we'll get the existing mentors to talk to them. So there'll be multiple series. So we're going to ease them into their roles. Okay, so that the next year, you'll be up and running in a jiffy. Yeah, so.
That's really nice. There's a question we've received from Mr. Loganathan from Devika Swaroop. What is the best way to find a co-founder, and do incubators help with that as well?
No, that is something, not directly. We've tried this in the past, many years back. We called it co-founder search. We did that a few times from the Startup Saturday initiative. but it's very hard. So these are like generally, this is not just a simple professional relationship. Like it is often like most co-founders would have been friends for a long time.
Exactly.
And like, so this has to be, even if you discover new co-founders, but it has to come in like the way the incubators and others help is like you meet other founders and other aspiring founders in these meetups. So you should go keep meeting people, and suddenly you may come across somebody that is kind of at this point not having a startup or very, very early stage and willing to change what they're doing, or are looking to join a startup. And like, and then you see that, okay, there are some synergies, and then you could explore. Very hard when we tried doing the matchmaking, it's very hard to find the right, because co-founder is not about like hiring an employee. That is little easier. It's very skill based. Co-founder is like more like a marriage, right? Definitely like a friendship, if not marriage. And so it has to connect at a personal level. So which means like they have to be around, and even if we go find 30 startups and 60 co-founders, that group may not be the one where you find anybody with matching wavelengths. So you have to be out there in startup events. And more, I've come across many startups where they found co-founders in such events. Because once you see somebody like, and you start talking, you realize that like there's a connection, there's a matching wavelength, right? Complementing skills and such. And that's the best way to find co-founders. Very hard to do it through an event. We tried and we stopped doing it. We don't do it anymore.
So a comment or a question by Priya Gautam. There is equity component that incubators charge. Does IIIT Hyderabad have this as a part of the mandate? This is a question.
Not for the incubators. Incubator, we used to take equity until about 2011 or so, first 2-3 years. We realized that that's not the best model. So we take equity only when we get them into a program, like Accelerator, for instance. So there we take equity. So there it's a program. There are many things in the program, including seed investment. So there we take some money, some equity for the investment and some for the acceleration itself, which is standard practice. But for incubation, we don't take. We have an incubation fee. They pay fee per seed that they occupy. And that fee includes all the services that we offer. So we don't take equity for incubation.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. I think that we come to an end to the session of our question and answers. Pranay, request you to please play the video. I now hand you over to Ms. Uma Chirugopati, our Senior Vice Chairperson, for the vote of thanks.
Hi, a very good evening to you all. That's a very useful and enlightening session about mentorship. The objective of our organization Flow is to encourage and facilitate women to showcase their skills, experiences, and being inclusive in the economic growth. Especially in these unprecedented pandemic times, sustainability has taken the central stage. It is only through sustainable livelihood a woman can be empowered and become economically independent. Flow will be the facilitator in the process and will connect the women with the relevant stakeholders. Bindu, our heartfelt thanks for taking this initiative forward at the national level and also for joining us today. You explained the whole concept and process in detail. I'm sure this initiative will be helpful for many of our members who are looking for some guidance, advice, and help to go forward in their business. This process is not only helpful for mentees, as you said, it will give a great experience for mentors too. Thank you so much. Thanks once again for joining us. Ramesh Garu, thank you very much for your insightful explanation about startups mentorship in detail. This will be very beneficial for our members, especially listening to an experienced professional like you. Thanks once again, and looking forward for a long and fruitful association with your organization. Thank you so much. I congratulate all our team members who involved in bringing this initiative at our chapter, and also the technical team for all their support. I thank Priya Gautam for joining us today, all the past chairs, media, and fellow flow members. I'm sure a lot of our members come forward to utilize this initiative and opportunity to hone their business skills, which benefit them economically. Not only them, I think they can contribute for the growth of the nation too. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
We are now playing the matchmakers, and this time it is to empower you all. So we request all our interested members to please apply through our Google form for this program, which will be circulated shortly. And also please note that it is important that the last date for the application is August 15th. And for any further queries, please do call our FMC head, Nanda, on the number given. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you all. Namaste.